Made a startling discovery. In all my despair, you cannot fathom my despair, but I do feel naive sometimes when I try. For example, I called a guard a confidential corruption line the other day, and I told him about the police officer that blatantly pulled a trigger in my face and tried to murder me. Again, piss or the battery acid of the devil himself came out of it. It stank like piss, it burnt like battery acid, and destroyed my face and completely destroyed and ruined my face. I got healed later on. It's a long story. All these miraculous events occurred. I called anyway to tell about this pig. There's a community officer, you know, in the way they don't get sacked, but the community officer of your local community is probably some murderous, horrible little chain smoking fat fucking snuff artist. The very next day, Gardaí showed up with two cars outside my house here and tried to section me. Confidential corruption line. I feel really naive for contacting the Gardaí in relation to the Gardaí because they don't do anything. They'll just say, "Oh crap, thanks for letting us know that you have whatever." You have to blackmail the fuckers, really. Excuse me. You have to blackmail them, but then they'll snuff you and disappear you as well, won't they? So, yeah, I feel really naive for contacting my government in relation to Republican corruption when you live in a stupid, horrible, rotten, corrupt republic because they just take care of themselves and they'll snuff you if you're a witness. I'm a witness to double homicide by the police, Gardaí Síochána, and they're stalking me, hunting me, and talking to everybody I pass by, every shop I go into. If I frequent a shop, they'll talk to the managers and say you have to watch out for this lad, and he's suspected for murder, and he's doing all this weird stuff and kitty killing, and they make them suspicious of me, and then any little sign of anything abnormal, it'll give them the right to try and section me. Again, they already gave me a chemical lobotomy to destroy my validity after the double homicide. So I don't even know why they're still hunting me. But I recently won a second hearing. I don't know if it's my second or third hearing that I've won against An Garda Síochána. They had a lot of libel. They had a lot of false report. They made a false report and they tried to stick it on me. A really bad report they made, and they tried to sign it off with a adult caution, but the adult caution was full of absolute bogus material, and I wouldn't sign it. And then they made a big deal about me refusing to sign the adult caution. I can go into that, but I won that anyway. I won that hearing against the guards. He swore on a Bible. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. I won that against Garda Beer. Did you? Um, I won that hearing against him, and my solicitor turned around to me and said, "It's really funny, actually. Like like that guard bear told me not to go into court. He's like, you don't need to go into court tomorrow. You don't need to be there. It'll all be taken care of. You'll have an adult caution." I went to court anyway the next day when this was all going on, and lo and behold, my name was on the list, and I went into the courtroom and I said it to the judge. He's like, "I was told not to be here today." He's like, "Well, you're definitely meant to be here today, so it's a good thing you're here today." But he basically just tried to tell me not to go, so I'd get a bench warrant. There was loads of corruption involved in that little silly little case. But I won that case anyway, the hearing against him. And he had a lot of bogus information. My solicitor just called him out on the bogus information. Um, and then my solicitor turned around to me and said, just before I was going, it's like, "John, keep a low profile because the Gardaí are watching you like a hawk." I was like, "For what reason?" I was like, "I'm a celibate, vegan, hermetic scholar. I wanted to be a fucking school teacher." And I was like, "Now I've got the pigs following me around because I'm a fucking murder witness, and they're haunting me and bothering me and talking to anybody I talk to and interrogating people and keeping people suspicious of me and watching me. So any little sign that anyway, this is one of the fucking layers of fucking torment and fucking I have to suffer in this nightmare reality." So I discovered something anyway. I realized something. There's this dirty, rotten little pack of knackers, and they are knackers, right? I'm not mean travelers, like, but they aspire to and act like travelers. Knacker means killer. That's what knacker means. Knackero. Knacker means killer. If you couldn't afford to put the horse down yourself, you bring it around to the traveller man. He might put it down for you for cheap. Because they keep horses. So you don't want to pay to bring your horse to a vet for hundreds and hundreds of euros. You might bring it around to the traveller man, and he put the horse down for you. And that's where travellers then got the name of being knackers. We'll bring it around to the knackers because they'll knacker your knackered horse for you. And then you call them the knackers when you brought the death contract to the traveller site or the traveller's home in the first place. So who's a knacker? But anyway, these dirty little knackers are filthy little rotten knackers. They go by the name of the Mahon Boys. And I moved into a little house that they were racketeering the house anyway. The owner was very annoyed and bothered by them. He looked very pressured. He was an Englishman. I can't remember his name. It's probably good that I can't. But he was definitely being bothered and leaned on and pressured by them. I was like, "Man, you're in charge. You own the building. Like, tell them to get off. F off." But this was situated right next door to a men's hostel, which was a heroin dealing brothel, as it turned out. And I was like, oh shit, I kind of want to move out of here. That was what I did because they started invading and leaning into my life, and they started letting themselves into my flat. There's two fucking prostitutes working up on the top stairs to pay off their Xanax bills, and I accidentally befriended them. And they thought I was friendly and all, but they hustled me as well. They got about 60 squids out of me when I was trying to stay support. Just being hustled like from all around by these rotten fucking people. But these Mahan boys anyway, the Mahan family. I couldn't believe that when this all started, when this all people start witnessing miracles and crap around me, that this rotten little bunch of hairy knackers that actually are in a caravan out the back of the fucking buildings there, spying on everyone in the neighborhood. They get educated because they're orphans without privilege. They get educated in things like cybercrime, and they use their education to spy and cheat and rob everyone. They get jobs in post offices. They get jobs. They're corrupt, basically. You know, when you're a cop, you need dirty little fuckers to do work for you. You need dirty little knackers to do work for you. But I still couldn't believe the fact that the whole government in Ireland seemed to be supporting this little rotten group of murderous little knackers, PJ and Michael Mahon and Thomas Mahon, the nailer, the jailer, they're all snitches. They're all little rotten. So if you are dealing with the Mahon boys throughout the country, because they're all over the country, they're all snitches. They're all, and it gets worse than that. They're not just police snitches, snitching out all the competition. If you know the Mahon boys, it's even funnier. So I used to slag them a bit internally, you know, alternately, that they were all born in brothels that they work in defending. They're all working in the brothels that they were born in, and they probably end up riding their own ma's with all the ephemerality of the situation. But they're actually defending the brothels that they're born into. And I just couldn't believe it with all the gun running they're doing and drug dealing they're doing and all the exposure of you know, confessions aren't safe these days, is particularly through this event, ironically through this event, that how are these people being busted? How aren't these people, how are they being supported more to the point? So I was like, how are they being busted? Oh yeah, Sinead might be dead because of these people. How are these people being supported? I couldn't believe it. Like I'm, again, you know, a university dropout, celibate, vegan, kind, loving, caring, nice, respectable family, you know, like it's a homo, like Pontius Pilate. What's your fucking problem, world? This kid's done nothing. But it gets funnier. It gets absolutely hilarious. So, like, again, calling Garda corruption line. I've called the Gardaí stupidly. Again, this is back to my naivety. I've called the Gardaí in relation to the Mahon boys several times. I've sent emails to the President of the Department of Justice. I've sent emails to everywhere. I've sent emails all over this country. Taoiseach, President, Justice, every newspaper in the country. I've sent it to the Church, the Vatican, Catholic Bishops Society. I've sent emails all over this fucking world regarding these people. Here's the kicker. This is what I figured out. This is why it's fucking hilarious. Excuse me. I'm swearing. They're being protected by the Gardaí. I know it's very questionable because most of them are the Gardaí's bastard children. Yeah, Gardaí run these brothels. Gardaí run everything. I was talking to a lady once, and she was really annoyed about it. It's like, girls can't work. Well, not she doesn't. She wasn't a working girl herself. I don't know what she was, but she knew about it. She worked in crime. She worked in forensics or something. And she said, a lady, sorry, it's not a girl. And she said, yeah, Gardaí have to run everything in this country. If the Gardaí aren't running it, you won't survive. And these are brothels. There's about 15 in the Republic, and they have one in Derry as well, I think. And these Sinn Féin, IRA kind of brothels, Republican brothels, are actually run by the police. And that's what's hilarious about these bastard children that are born into these brothels is they're actually quite often the children of the Gardaí themselves. Now, the Gardaí have families at home. The Gardaí have like two or three kids at home with the wife and the perfect little wife and saving up for their little college educations. And these little bastard rejected knackers live in a caravan out the back of their brothels where they were born. So daddy doesn't love you, boys. Oh, you never had love from your daddy. Daddy takes care of them, though. And that's why, for some reason, everyone supported these rotten little fucking murderous, treacherous kitty killing. Oh, yeah, PJ. No, is it PJ? I think PJ killed two kids for the Illuminati so he can keep in troop or maintain condemned. He's a double O. But he killed two kids and he did it in my name. They're like murdering kids, like they're running around, they're murdering, they're doing Holocaust rituals inspired and directed by Derek Rockefeller from Florida and Tom Vanderberg. And I'm not afraid of you, cunt and gypsies. Like, I don't die. You know what I mean? I got entire legions of motherfucking heaven. You're going to hit a brick wall called the gospel truth in the future, and everybody in the world is going to know you're wholly disgraced to save their balls. And they won't care about the corruption of the guard. They don't care about your political agendas. They don't care about your Republican ethos and your appearance to the community. They're going to save their balls, and they're going to find out the truth about you horrible, rotten, murderous Republican scum. But anyway, yeah, so they're Gardaí's children, and that's why they're being protected from the very start, and that's why they're not being busted with all the fucking gun running and drug dealing that they're doing and all the fucking witchcraft that they're involved, because everyone can see what's going on. Everyone, it's wide open for everyone. Your confessions aren't safe. Pigs are exploiting your confessions, the convenience that your confessions aren't safe. The pigs can stare at you now. I know this is where like AI, it's not artificial intelligence, angelic interference. But pigs can question your materia. They can question your mind. They can ask you, where do you keep your guns? Where do you keep your coke? Where do you keep everything? And they bust you. And they're doing it all over. It's not a legal method of interrogation, but they're doing. That's how they busted the Kinnerans, and they said that the Kinnerans were using these phones, these SIM-free phones. No, it's just exoteric bollocks. They've been questioning everyone, and I just couldn't understand why aren't these little scummy, little treacherous Mahan boy rats being busted? I was like, because they're fucking pigs themselves. They're the Gardaí's children. They're the Gardaí's little bastard, little runt, fucking rotten children. These police again. This is how rotten the fucking police in this country are, in Republican fucking country. You know, most guards have like two or three jobs. They collect like two or three paychecks because they're undercover. So like they go and they work in the mechanics, and then they just work in the mechanics. There are a lot of bus drivers these days, lads. Just to let you know, they're all pigs. €800 a week, and just a spy and listening in on all the buses. A lot of bus drivers going on. Also, lads, if you've ever noticed on top of a bus stop that isn't electrical in any way, there might be a solar panel and a box. Why is the bus stop electric if it's not an electric bus stop? There are mics everywhere. There's microphones on every bus stop in this country these days. Intel said they were doing that a long time ago. So if you want a free solar panel, they're up on top of the bus stops, and that's what the little box is as well. It'll probably be full of like high-tech microphones. You can probably take those as well. They don't look too screwed down. On the boys. But again, be wary if you're dealing with these Mahan rats, and they use false identities. They go around claiming to be travellers, and they're not travellers. They actually solicited a boy from Bray when this all started. I'm not going to say who, but they asked him to kill me. They brought a snuff contract to a traveller lad, and then they called the traveller lad the knacker. And they asked him to kill me. Little did they know that I was a very good friend of that traveller's cousin. I'm direct cousin, friend of families anyway. And because I was just conveniently right, like kind of like training day, very much like that. That's how I heard about it as well. There was no problem. I like him, was very appreciated that he didn't snuff me or attempt to snuff me. He did walk past me and took a look at me. I remember that because it was really kind of scary. I knew he was kind of looking into me in some sort of tent. And then they found out. It was like, no, he was Joe's friend till the end, man. He was one of Joe's best friends till the very end. And yeah, that's how I found out about that. That the Mahon boys were going around giving death contracts to traveller boys to try and snuff me. And they didn't stop doing that. That's been going on for years now. And again, Gardaí have access to all your confessions and all the truth, and these people are still getting away with this for some reason, and that's why it just clicked in my head. How many times I've reported these Mahan bastard little rats to the Gardaí, and the Gardaí are just like, oh crap, they know about our boys down in Waterford. Lady Lane, by the way. Tree Lady Lane, 1 or 2 Tree Lady Lane is the brothel. That I was living next. I was living on 2 Lady Lane in a crappy little €60 a week studio, listening to girls getting raped in the basement by these men, these pigs, these police. The girls couldn't pay like their Xanax bills, and then they get like pretty much raped in the basement, and they were hiding some rotten old fucking dirty murderer or something in the basement because he kept throwing out buckets of shit and piss out the back window, and they were bringing him down women, and like just had horrible things coming from that basement. That's why I got the fuck out of there. Couldn't live that way, man. This fucking poxy Irish world country. Ireland's very pretty on the surface, but it's the most horrible, rotten. Like I don't want to compare to Africa, because Africa is probably very like nice in places, and it's a very big and very large, diverse country. But I can see why Britain used to come laugh at us and call us Africa. They call us Africa. Um, yeah, if it wasn't for England, you use inbred fucking monkeys would all still be in clay huts, as far as I'm concerned. I'm getting the fuck out of this. Excuse me again. Poxy, godforsaken, corrupt countries. But I probably won't do. They'll probably get shot at the airport again. They already shot me in the face and tried to disembowel me. I heard they snuffed me in my tent loads. I wake up with a mad headache, and they're like, "Oh my god, he's still alive." The next day when I'm walking around, if it is the next day, I wouldn't know how long I've been lying in the tent dead. Um, So yeah, I'm not really afraid of you, scum. Laughing my ass off in your piggy fucking faces because the gospel truth is going to be absolute revelation of your corruption, and it's going to be pages upon pages of filthy fucking rotten Irish Republican scum. And I cannot fucking wait. Yeah, my mother, yeah, yeah, and everything you did to his mother, and every time you bonked his mother and fucked his mother and wanked over his mother, and every time you pissed on a picture of me and my family or my mother, or every time you used our names and urinated on scripture. That's why I got pissed in the face with the piss of the devil. I came from the gun of John Wheeler and he shot me in the face. Again, the community guard. He tried to frame me for suicide. The psychiatric ward I was in for the suicide attempt. Would you blame me? And they used that evidence and they tried to blur that evidence to frame me for suicide and murder me. I figured out what happened after that. They tried to frame me for suicide and they tried to murder me. They planted the gun in my bag that he shot me in the face with. If not that gun, a second gun. And my solicitor asked me about it. And I was like, I didn't have a fucking gun. Guns are ugly and stupid. I'm not afraid of anyone. And like, guns are for biatches and perfect. The only reason you'd need a gun is if you have a gun, because it technically implies fear, and then fear implies fakelessness. And if you're fakelessness, you won't be immortal like me, and you're gonna need a gun then, aren't you? Bitches. Read a gospel, maybe I should not. Don't bother. You don't start to touch it. You're probably breathing all over scripture. You don't even know how to read it properly. So yeah, they're all the bastard, rotten little murderous, scummy little fucking infidel children. And this message is really for the wives of An Garda Síochána. Your wives and your wife's barren cunt. Now that I can cut them, I can make people barren. I can make you infertile. I can make all your horrible, rotten, fucking. Your wives are probably horrible, rotten people. They're married pigs in first place, didn't they? So this is a message for all of you. All of your husbands have little toy girls in brothels all over the country, and they probably have a few bastard children on the side. Ladies, and you're married to the scum. You're married to the Antichrist, as far as I'm concerned. They all changed their uniform because I declared that the uniform was profane. They had a Christ-killing uniform, a kitty-killing Christ-killer uniform, and they all took more taxpayers' money and got new uniforms and shit. This is the irony of the entire situation: is like that they're being paid by the taxpayer the entire time, and now they're going around like black and tans, buggering your wives and buggering your mothers to elicit confessions from their families. So they have to ride your mass. They spiritually fornicate with your mass, and then they get all their confessions through your ma. So the Gardaí are going around spiritually. There's a big probe into Garda corruption and sexual misconduct, but ran by the Vatican. The Vatican were supposed to be running, and still going on. So nothing clearly happened. And these mad little infidels are still all over my estate, all over my neighborhood, all over the country. And again, they won't be going anywhere disappearing because all the Gardaí will be absolutely fucking disgraced. All their knackery little rotten little fucking treacherous little bastard fucking orphans. And again, these bastardly little fucking gypsies. Again, again, they might act like travellers. They might be. They're usually from Wexford, essentially from Wexford, where they might have accents of all different times. I'm just warning all the boys and girls out there. These rotten little fucking murderers. They snitch to the guards. They are the guards. They're the guards' little dirty right hand, not even a hand, a little right dirty fucking finger. That's why they exist. That's why they're not getting busted. That's why I reported them so many times to the country, so many stupidly, naively reported them to the government, reported them to the police themselves, and of course the dirty, rotten Republic is like, oh shit, he's onto our boys, he's onto our Matin lads, he's onto the brothels, he's onto homicide, and you're just digging yourself deeper. The more it's like a catfish, and you just keep digging yourself deep. Entailment, infringement, libel, character assassination, entailment, perverting a course of justice. You're just digging yourselves deeper and deeper and deeper, you stupid pig fucks. Piggy, 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 kitty, kitty, kitty killer. Who's an antichrist now? But you didn't want to be, you didn't go and join your force going to be an antichrist, but you are an antichrist now, aren't you? You're the Christ killers now. I think Pontius Pilate and Judas Iscariot have a bad reputation. Wait till you see on Garda Síochána in the fucking future, you gypsy fucking kitty killing scum. And a lot of my family have been disappeared. A lot of my friends have died and disappeared. Lots of my friends have died and disappeared. All around Bray. Typically travellers. Yeah, a lot of the traveller boys that I was going to talk about just start fucking dropping. And if that had anything to do with them, that had anything, John, Joe, another Joe. Yeah. Um, a lot of people dropping. A lot of people die. A lot of people disappearing. Sinead O'Connor. Sinead O'Connor. Yep. Desperate emails to Bob Geldof to do something about these IRA and Sinn Féin and Gardaí and government harvesting and fornicating and screwing with everyone. And Sinead probably got a bit too loud about it, as Sinead does. Go Sinead. and either drove her to death or they probably killed Sinead. Again, I don't die, which is wonderful about it. Is why they ought to be afraid of me, because they did try to snuff me and silence me, and then they gave me a chemical lobotomy to make me an invalid. So technically, anything I say is not um, upholdable, or yeah, it's not valid in a court of law. My word against yours. And guess what my word is, Piggy? It's my word. It's not my word, actually. It's the word, but it's my word versus your word, isn't it? And these are piggy fucking murderers. Oh, you're kitty killing piggies. And now, yeah, so that's for the wives of all you monstrous kitty killing, fucking brothel running, crack dealing, hip misogynistic other things I've heard the police say in my time. I could go on and on about Garda corruption, but I'm going to end with my friend Saffron. Because everybody's mad about Saffron. Myself and Saffron got arrested when I was about 16, and Saffron was about 14. I think there's 2 or 3 years between us, as I recall. It might have been 16, 17. Can't remember what age we were. Anyway, Maud was young and a big hairy. He was kicking off a bit in the station. We didn't feel like we were meant to be arrested. I'd never kick off a fuss. Do you just give them more paperwork to put on you? But this big, rotten, fucking fat, sadist looking pig dropped her to the ground with a backhand. And I mean, dropped her. She fell faster than gravity could pull you down, man. And you want to see the big smile on his fucking face. He got off to that so badly. He was like 14, 15-year-old girl. And he dropped her with a back fucking hand down, fucking down to the fucking ground, and just smiled, and he was dicking over it. Most of them are clones, by the way. If you feel bad about it, you're not exactly harming a fly. And again, they're breaking into your minds. Most of them are clones. It's blue collar work. I know the postal service as well. Again, blue collar work are clones. Clones. Clones, clones, clones. Have been successfully cloning humans since the 1890s, 1890. Successfully cloning humans. And they introduced Dolly to the Irish farmers market in the 1960s just to, to say it's okay to clone all your lovely cattle in Ireland. It's okay if the whole world can clone all your lovely milk cows. It's okay if the whole world can clone all your wonderful dairy product, or your wonderful everything. Um, that's the only reason that Dolly got introduced into Ireland. And they made it, it's the first sheep that's ever been cloned. Oh, probably the first sheep that's ever been cloned. This is why you come to Ireland to get the best cattle. Horses, cows, pigs. Pigs. Blue collar pigs. Yeah, so they're mostly clones, and all the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park are technically girls. So a lot of your pigs are like really misogynist hermaphrodites, really, really misogynist hermaphrodites that have nothing to look forward to in life if they can't go to their brothels and back to their fucking little dirty wives and their 2 or 3 kiddies that are all smoking gear and smoking fucking weed. I know so many pigs kids that are all buying ounces of grass every fucking week, and it doesn't. It's obvious daddy knows exactly what's going on there. Yeah, but daddy has no bother busting your children over an ounce of grass. So I've never even seen an ounce of grass. I weigh like 8 grams a week, and they're still hunting me and watching me and pushing me for the 2 or 3 grams I smoke in a week. People laugh at me how little I smoke. And it's not like I got any fucking counselling for any of this. It's not like I got any proper fucking medications like haloperidol. Yeah, so I've got to go do something. I got some work to do. Um, yeah, so like cops kill kids, and cops kill kids for rich people. If your kid has a star, Ashling Murphy, a couple killer, a couple snuffer, the banshees of Inishirin. £6 in the hand. She'll be crazy not to. Executions on the mainland. Pig, the police. £6 in the hand. And then you see him in the post office. I might have said this already. That's an okay Irish film. And one wants all the gossip. Oh, have you got the news for me there, Sergeant? Oh, that little bollocks drowned up there in the fucking valley. He drowned up in the lake. It's like, oh my God, that's terrible. He was a fucking fool. He was a little gobshite, he was. He deserved to drown. And then you'll notice later on that a word starts getting around in the gossip circles about the daddy pig abusing his son, hitting him or sodomizing him in some sort of way. And then Daddy Bear knew that this could only come from Baby Bear. And then you find Baby Bear also drowned in the lake, which goes to show that the cop killed his own son for talking too much. and he also killed the other kid for some reason. And that's the Gardaí Síochána all over. If you're a kiddie killer, if you murder, basically, there is a murderous pederast. His name's Hugh McGlynn. I've no bother saying that. I don't care if I'm done for libel. He's a monstrous. Just he didn't finish primary school. He's disgraced military. I heard he say again. Heard, so these are not solid allegations. Heard he's disgraced military for selling weapons from the lockup. He's murdered cats. He blows them up like, with C4s and stuff. He thinks he's awesome. It's so awesome blowing up cats with C4. Now he's a private escort military now in this country at the moment, and he's Garda vetted, and he's a serial gang date rapist. Him and his brother is actually a convicted date rapist, and he is a serial pederestial, as I heard. There were young people, girls, in a military barracks. So he's a pedophilia serial gang date rapist, and they gave him a badge and a gun. They gave him a badge and a gun in this country. That's just what you're working with in this country. That if you're willing to do these things, they'll probably give you a job. And if you know about it, like myself or Sinead O'Connor, they will probably try to snuff you, disappear you, or section you. So yeah, you're a ma, Paddy. I can make your wife barren, and I can anything you call me. If you harm me in any way, pigs, it'll be onto thy for eternity. Okay, you want to read your book and know what you're dealing with here. They politely asked Edward Crowley to leave Rome, or leave Italy. Politely asked Edward Crowley to leave Rome. Or Italy, sorry, wherever he was. Politely asked him, if you harm me in any way, it'll be onto you and your sperm for eternity. If you offend me in any way. There's another guard in Bray when I was homeless, and my friend nearly got killed in his tent. Again. Smashed up. And again, it was a Garda conspiracy because the guards were there on the scene and doing nothing about it. And they even protected some other little hoodie. I was like, there's a guy in the ditches over there. And I was like, we know he's over there. Shut up and mind your own business. I was like, yeah, but there's a hoodie in the ditch over there, and we just nearly got murdered. And he's like, we know what we're doing. You shut your little... Anyway, when I ran over to my bloody friend, absolutely bloody mess, it was a horror. It was a murder scene. It was technically a murder scene. It was horrifying. And slashes in the tent and blood everywhere. I was like, oh my God, what's happening here? One of the guards was like, shut your face, you fucking little muppet. And I just turned around, like, very confused and very vulnerable. I was like, sorry, why did you just call me that? Why did you just call me a muppet? We just got attacked here. He's like, to emphasize the fact that you're a muppet. And all the lads like, yeah, nice one, Billy. Yeah, nice one, Paddy. Yeah, that kid went on to have 2 kids with Down syndrome. The kid in the years that followed, I think he had 2 kids and they both have Down syndrome. So, muppet balls. That's what I call him now. If you offend me in any way, if whatever you say about me is written on your sperm. So if you say he's a very intelligent, multi-sainted genius that's gone through life, you'll have multi-sainted, intelligent, or your children have the opportunity anyway to be multi-sainted, intelligent. This is why we can analytically induce that in heaven they're constantly singing the praises of God all day, every day, all the time, constantly singing the praises of God. Because if you badmouth a lord, it's written on your sperm. That's why the Pope they write it on the white balls at the beginning of the movie. It's written on your sperm. So yes, Muppet Balls has Muppet babies because Muppet Daddy called me a Muppet. So if you harm me or my friends or family in any way, it'll be on to die for eternity. So you'll suffer that assault for eternity. That's what hell is, So Homer Simpson was made to eat all the donuts because eating dough or certain pastries actually harms Jesus. So he was made to eat infinite amounts of donuts because it harmed Jesus in a way. Yeah, anything you say about me is going to be written on your sperm. I would not hold or commit to false witnesses against me. I would not fornicate or covet my wife. I would not take my name. I would really advise you not to take or abuse my name in vain. There's a list. I'm sure this is ringing a bell maybe with some of you infidels. Thou shalt not steal. It actually means thou shalt not fornicate with your neighbours' relationships. You can screw with each other. Really. You can very easily screw with each other. And if you knew about it, everyone would be doing it. Poland before the war and Ireland before the next World War. And everybody's doing it and everybody's onto it. Yes, you can very easily screw at one another. And if you knew about it and they told you in the Bible, you'd only know about it and go and do it. So they just gently say, thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not take from thy neighbour's family, its relationships. You can mess with their relationship. You can steal their children, as they're called. But these children are children, their relationships. It's a beautiful poetry that only I can really understand. Spaces in between the teeth of the comb have a name. Where am I going with this? Yeah, I need to go do stuff. I'm running late here. I'm late for a very important Nothing going on. Social welfare thing. I'm on disability. They forced me onto disability now. I'm gonna get a bus pass. I have no memory or emotions, and I'm tone deaf. Despite, like, as you know from my channel, music is a very big part of my life. I've been tone deaf for 3 or 4 years, and that's why I can't sing anymore. The voice of an angel got taken from Shane McGowan, and all I know is pain. Because he had the voice of an angel before they gave him Paraparadol as well, and that's why Shane McGowan sounds the way he does. And people might wonder, why is he a singer? He's not really a very good singer. He was. He was a very, very lovely singer when he was a young man. And then they gave him chemical lobotomy, Paraparadol, and that's why myself and Shane McGowan sound. And then people say, well, he still can sing in a way. He can sing in a way. He's still on time. He was a great singer. He loves to sing. Nothing makes him happier in life before they took his voice away. Nothing makes him happier to be singing. So that's for Mr. McGowan, and that's for Miss O'Connor, who's been probably hunted, murdered, driven insane, and destroyed by Zed Illuminati. It's for Aisling Murphy. That's for chaps, Joe and John, and really hope it's not for Sean Hanley. I hope really not. I'm not dropping too many names here. I really don't know, but everyone's been driven insane and going fucking mad stuff. I'd be dead 14 times by now if I wasn't being preserved by heaven. I simply won't die, and I won't die until the whole world receives my full testimony. That's the way that works. I won't die until the whole world receives my fullest testimony. And I could go on and on, there's no end to me. Was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be. My word versus yours, piggies.